After waiting for 3 years, the much-anticipated Sweet Home Season 2 has finally been updated today. A terrifying virus breaks out in the city, transforming people into monstrous creatures based on their desires. Season 2 picks up right after the first season. Sang-wook takes away the unconscious Hyun-soo, while soldiers warn Sang-wook to stop his vehicle from behind. Of course, Sang-wook doesn't listen to them. At this moment, the unconscious Hyun-soo wakes up.
오랜만이야. 혁명. 바로 알아보는 거야? 재미없게?
Surprisingly, Hyun-soo immediately realizes that the person in front of him is not Sang-wook but Ui-myeon, who possesses the ability to take over bodies. Hyun-soo tries to take control of the vehicle but is no match for Sang-wook. Already the strongest in human form, Sang-wook becomes even more formidable with Ui-myeon possessing him. However, Hyun-soo's efforts aren't in vain as the military following them catches up. The military orders a direct firepower cover on them. Hyun-soo inside the car is beaten by Sang-wook until blood flows. Sang-wook seems to enjoy tormenting Hyun-soo and wants him to transform again.
버티지 말고 꺼내봐.
The soldiers behind them realize that the two in front seem to be fighting. To ensure the special infected are still alive, the higher-ups order an airplane to destroy the bridge ahead. Though the bridge is blown up, Sang-wook, upon seeing this, doesn't slow down at all and directly speeds up and charges forward. The soldiers want to continue shooting, but the command from above is to capture Hyun-soo alive, allowing Sang-wook to temporarily shake off the pursuers. Meanwhile, on the other side, Eun-yu and others who boarded the military vehicle are taken to the survivor camp for resettlement. However, this place isn't as wonderful as they imagined. Entering the camp requires strict checks. Seeing a man with a nosebleed, the soldiers pull him aside and execute him on the spot. The man doesn't mutate after death, but the soldiers are unfazed. They adhere to the principle of better to kill wrongly than to miss a threat, screening survivors entering the camp to ensure safety within. The soldiers also make these survivors take the lead in collecting useful materials around the camp. Suddenly, a strange sound comes, and the soldiers' signal detectors issue a warning. A figure rushes out from the ruins, revealing a sleek gecko-like monster. It doesn't attack humans but appears very frightened. The gecko monster dodges the soldiers' bullets, which seem to have little effect on it. Spooked, the monster runs into a densely populated area of survivors. The soldiers' shooting accidentally kills several humans, but this doesn't stop their attack. It seems they've grown accustomed to this kind of incident. Even a bomb doesn't hurt the monster, which instead leaps into the chaotic crowd and wraps its body around a little girl to protect her. Facing the soldiers shooting, the monster doesn't back down and tightly encloses the girl. The girl cries out for her mother, and amidst the chaos, the monster sees her mother and immediately brings the girl to her. This scene is quickly disrupted. Suddenly, the monster hears an explosion from afar and rushes toward it in panic. A soldier is seen controlling the monster's child with an iron rod, the original source of the sound. To distract the people, it ran to the other side, but its child was still captured by humans. The soldiers threaten the gecko monster with the child's life not to come closer, and the gecko monster is burned alive by the soldiers in front of its child. Just as the soldiers are about to harm the baby monster, In-hwan stops them. In-hwan pulls away the iron rod holding the baby monster and shoots at its feet. The baby monster vanishes before his eyes. The soldiers are puzzled by In-hwan letting the monster go, as their existence, the Crow Corps, is to hunt all monsters, but In-hwan says he doesn't kill monsters that don't threaten humans. On the other side, Hyun-soo was brought by Sang-wook to a large building. Sang-wook doesn't like the special infected title given by the military, believing humans are outdated and they are the new humans who will lead the future. The current situation is retribution for humans' past indiscriminate hunting of other creatures. Now, in this world, humans are the virus, and monsters are the antidote. Their special nature is exactly what leads human evolution. But Hyun-soo still doesn't want to join Sang-wook and can't forgive him for killing innocent humans at will. Hyun-soo only wants to cooperate with the military to end everything. Just then, a woman runs out in panic, with a cloth-wrapped monster chasing her. Seeing this, Sang-wook effortlessly takes down the monster.
앞으로는 이유 없이 사람을 죽이지 않을게.
Sang-wook promises Hyun-soo not to harm humans at will and doesn't stop Hyun-soo from cooperating with the military. After all, It's Hyunsu's choice to be that little guinea pig. Moreover, there are many special infected in that laboratory, and after seeing their miserable state, Sang-wook believes Hyunsu will understand how ridiculous his thoughts are.
그들을 만나면 알게 되겠지. 네가 선택받은 이유를.
In the midst of the apocalypse, the monsters have become lab rats for the military, and they are categorized into various levels. The creature in front of them, labeled as D-126, is referred to as a yellow level by the military. The mother of the girl agrees to participate in the experiment, hoping to see her daughter. As the woman approaches her daughter, she sees her in the corner, but before she can reach her, her fingers are instantly severed. This leads the lab personnel to conclude that the bonds of the yellow level monsters before their transformation do not affect their thinking after mutation. The girl, now deemed useless, is burned alive with a flamethrower in front of her mother. This horrific scene is witnessed by Ik-hyung, who has infiltrated the base. At the same time, elsewhere, Sang-wook is driving Hyunsu towards the base. Sang-wook is opposed to Hyunsu cooperating with the military. He trusted the military once and ended up worse than dead. As they near the base, the figure of the deceased Yuri suddenly appears in the road. It seems that Sang-wook's consciousness hasn't disappeared and is now suddenly awakening, seemingly struggling for control against Ui Myeong. With the persistent image of Yuri haunting his mind, Sang-wook can only keep stabbing his thigh with his arm, as the pain helps him maintain clarity. When Hyunsu climbs out of the car, he finds Sang-wook severely injured and pinned under the vehicle. Unable to move, Hyunsu initially wants to help a soldier.
오지마! 오지마! 차라리 죽여줘.
Not wanting to watch the soldier suffer, Hyunsu agrees to help end his life. Meanwhile, the injured Sang-wook crawls out from under the car, looking at his battered body, looking at a nearby intact soldier's corpse, and unable to use his abilities. Sang-wook painfully crawls toward the soldier, intending to switch to a new host body.
널 봐. 인간 없이는 살 수가 없잖아.
Hyunsu tries to take Sang-wook to the experimental base. Sang-wook keeps taunting Hyunsu that he's too naive and that the army won't be the same as Hyunsu thinks it will be. Sang-wook doesn't want to go through that torture again and pleads with Hyunsu not to be obstinate. If they fall into their hands, a fate worse than death awaits. But Hyunsu doesn't believe Sang-wook. Suddenly, the unexpected happens. A large group of soldiers arrives to support, and Hyunsu falls under their gunfire. Meanwhile, Eun-yu takes advantage of the chaos while the military is dealing with the gecko monster and picks up a handgun. This allows her to hijack a military vehicle. Eun-yu forces the soldier to drive to Green Home, seeking her brother, Eun-hyuk. Upon arrival, they find the building in ruins. Inside, though many familiar items are broken and scattered, Eun-yu finds Eun-hyuk's glasses and a box of their photos. She doesn't know whether to be happy or sad that she didn't find her brother Eun-hyuk's body. While Eun-yu was in grief, a ball of flesh was strangely wriggling on top of her head. Outside, Jisoo was controlling the driving soldier at gunpoint. The man who previously signaled wants to persuade Jisoo to kill the two soldiers, but inadvertently learns from them about a vaccine at the base. To survive and avoid infection, the man conflicts with Jisoo. The despicable man even rubs Jisoo's previous surgery wound. Their standoff allows the controlled soldiers a chance to reverse the situation instantly. Eun-yu, just emerging from the ruins, is beaten by the furious Seo-jin. When Seo-jin is about to finish Eun-yu, Chan-young intervenes. Unable to stand by, Chan-young tells Seo-jin that there are some recently dead Raven Legionnaires nearby, and the bodies are warm, suggesting that monsters may be lurking nearby. Seo-jin senses something eerie about the place and orders Chan-young to tie everyone up and leave them to fend for themselves. Chan-young reluctantly binds them but intentionally leaves a loose knot for Eun-yu, so they can free themselves once they leave. But as soon as Chan-young leaves the ruins, they hear something fall. A figure emerges from the rubble. Shockingly, it's Myung-suk, who transformed into a cocoon in the first season.
명숙이 아줌마야.
At this moment, Myung-suk, with an expressionless face and vacant eyes, completely ignores Eun-yu and the others amidst the ruins. Myung-suk walks to the door and happens to bump into Seo-jin, who is trying to leave. Driven by rage, Seo-jin steers his vehicle directly towards Myung-suk. Myung-suk is brutally hit against the ruins, coughing out a large amount of fresh blood. Chan-young attempts to stop Seo-jin's assault, but Seo-jin has already poured gasoline over Myung-suk. Just as Seo Jin is about to ignite the gasoline, a familiar figure appears. It's the creature that had half its head chopped off. It seems even the muscle monster couldn't kill it. Chan Young tries to shoot the creature but turns to see a voice signaling him to be silent. Chan Young realized that the monster couldn't see when he saw it attacking the lighter stick that was making noise. Chan Young directed the men to move carefully towards the car. Everything was going smoothly until a drone hovered above them, attracting the creature's attention with their cries of surprise. Suddenly, another familiar figure emerges from the ruins. The big-eyed monster tightly binds Chan Young like a python, though the others escape to a bus. The keen-hearing creature locates them. The creature attacks those inside the bus but is soon flung under it. Unyu chooses not to leave but to rescue Chan Young. Chan Young also pulled out a dagger from his belt and stabbed the big-eyed monster several times to get out of the trap. Chan Young then sprinted towards the bus. The group has finally escaped the monster for the time being. As they head towards a new shelter, a stranger blocks the car. The man knocked on the door roughly and Chan Young let him in despite the others' protests. After boarding, the man asks where they're going and falls asleep. Elsewhere, Hyunsu wakes up to find himself caged and brought to a square. Expecting torture, Hyunsu is surprised when the door opens, and a scarred creature is thrown in. With the push of a button, a large amount of blood fell from Hyunsu's head. Hyunsu didn't make any move. He wasn't sure what the other guy was going to do, but as long as he could end this he would do his best to cooperate. The blood is meant to provoke the creature to attack Hyunsu. The lab wants to test Hyunsu's monster level. The monster that's about to attack Hyunsu is a highly dangerous red class. This kind of monster is very sensitive to blood, and after smelling blood, the monster jumped towards Hyunsu. Hyunsu didn't fight back against the monster's attack. The monster did not show any mercy and pressed Hyunsu against the wall. As the monster bites into Hyunsu's neck to suck his blood, Hyunsu's pupils suddenly change, revealing the creature's past human memories. It was once a baseball player. As more blood is drained, the creature's pupils turn white, and it regains some of its former memories. The slightly sane creature releases Hyunsu, begging him for salvation, not wanting to continue suffering. Before Hyunsu can inspect further, several people armed with flamethrowers corner the creature. After being cleaned up, Hyunsu asks Dr. Lim why this is happening. Lim's explanation was that the monster had no use and he just gave it a normal disposal. Dr. Lim is intensely interested in Hyunsu, especially since the creature regained human sanity under Hyunsu's blood, a phenomenon he has never witnessed. Hyunsu suggests that Lim use him for vaccine research, but Lim warns him of the unbearable pain it would involve. As Lim is about to send Hyunsu away from the lab, a soldier attempts but fails to access the lab with a card. Turning to the soldier, Lim warns that failure will trigger an alarm, and he even calls out Ik-kyung's name. Lim then uses his card to open the door and takes Ik-kyung to the lab area. On the other hand, Sang-wook was also brought to the base, and the experimenters detected that Sang-wook had no vital signs. But when they turned around, Sang-wook suddenly opened his eyes. By the time they realized it, Sang-wook had already disappeared. After killing 2 lab workers, Sang-wook puts on a protective suit. His monstrous transformation abilities seemingly gone, Sang-wook climbs into a lab marked MHL and is surprised to see a familiar face. The transformation of his old friend into such a state fuels Sang-wook's anger, absorbing the blood of the creature in front of him. Sang-wook's wounds quickly begin to heal, indicating the resurgence of his abilities. When Ik-kyung arrives at the lab and discovers the test subject inside the chamber, she suddenly breaks down into silent sobs. At this moment, the test subject had reverted to human form. It turns out that this subject was Ik-kyung's husband. It seems that Ik-kyung's deal with the military might have been for this. Suddenly, Ik-kyung feels intense pain in her abdomen. Lifting her shirt, she discovers her belly has swollen, and it seems something is about to burst forth from within.